It's time now for our daily check-in at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, as the war in Ukraine and its impact on the global economy continues to dominate discussions there. Our business editor Kate Moody is in Davos for us. Kate, you've been focusing on Europe's ongoing efforts to wean itself off Russian energy dependency.
Haxi, this has really been center stage ever since the Ukrainian president's impassioned plea on the opening day of the World Economic Forum this past Monday. Just yesterday, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that Russia's war in Ukraine is strengthening the EU's resolve to stop using Russian energy. Now pressure for an oil embargo is building ahead of an EU summit early next week. For the moment, Hungary is blocking that move. It gets about 40% of its oil from Russia, with the EU as a whole slightly less dependent, just under a third there. Brussels has offered Hungary an extra year to stop using Russian energy. Viktor Orban, for the moment, has refused that offer. He says it's not enough. And so for now, we are at a stalemate. I've been speaking to the EU's Economic Affairs Commissioner, Paolo Gentiloni, about this question earlier this morning. Take a listen. Paolo Gentiloni, European Commissioner for the Economy, thank you for being on France 24 today. The EU is trying to wean itself off Russian energy. There is still some division within the bloc about an oil embargo in particular. Where do we stand? Is Hungary still opposed?
Yes, but we are still working. And I think we should try to build consensus also in this part of the package of sanctions, possibly before the European Council, which is the end of this week. Let us remember that this is the sixth package of sanctions, and we've had an impressive level of unity until now. Even in this package, we have several measures towards banks and other sectors that are shared. We have to reach an agreement on this oil embargo, and I'm confident that we have a chance to reach it.
And as you say, there has been a lot of unity, a lot of sanctions already, but critics point out that the EU is still sending hundreds of billions of dollars every year to Russia.
Well, I think we should look also to the other half of the moon, which is that unity, deep economic difficulty for Russia, a lot of assets freezed in European member states, Russian assets, and the possibility that we are addressing from a legal point of view to use in the future these assets to reconstruct Ukraine. So I think that overall it's clear that the sanctions are working. It's not something that solved the issue of the war in a few days, but months after months, this economic reaction is working. Of course, we need the oil embargo as a further step.
What about the impact on the European economy? Inflation is already the highest in the Eurozone on record. This embargo might push energy prices up higher. What do you see for inflation? And are you worried about a recession in the Eurozone?
Well, indeed, the Russian invasion changed the course of our economy. We had already headwinds, but they were the result of an extraordinary expansion after COVID. Now, the Russian invasion changed the situation, and we have a lot of uncertainty, higher energy prices, high inflation. But my point is that we still have a moderate level of growth in the European Union, and we should fight to keep this moderate level of growth. Also because we have to address in these very months historical challenges, our strategic autonomy and our energy independence. So this is a crucial moment for our economy to face the risks, but also to work for the future.
Just briefly, you have again earlier this week suspended the EU's fiscal spending rules. Why and how long do you expect that to go on for?
Why? Because of the war, because of the uncertainty, and because of the need to a transition from an overall supportive fiscal policies to more targeted and temporary measures. This will help member states in this transition, and this will be something in place for 2023.
Paolo Gentiloni, thanks for speaking to France 24.
Thank you very much.
So there you go, Paolo Gentiloni speaking to France 24 just earlier this morning. This is far from the end of this topic of discussion. A panel later on at the World Economic Forum will be discussing the issue of European unity in a disordered world with the likes of the ECB's Christian Lagarde, plus the prime ministers of the Netherlands, Ireland and Slovakia. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will be addressing the World Economic Forum on its closing day on Thursday. Germany was a little bit late in getting on board with the idea of cutting off European energy supplies from Russia. Now it's very vocal, though, it had been very vocal, rather, in talking about the possibility of economic damage, the possibility of a recession from that move. It has now, though, been pressing for very swift and firm action. Germany's economy minister, Robert Habeck, who's been at Davos all week, said that he thought that this kind of standoff represents actually the worst of Europe. A reminder, of course, that while the EU has already stopped importing Russian coal, it has not yet phased out its use of Russian natural gas. It gets about 40% of its supply from Russia. There is a blueprint for phasing that out in the longer term, but it's not imminent. Haxi.
Kate Moody reporting live there from Davos, also speaking to Paolo Gentiloni a little earlier. Thank you very much indeed.